You're listening to the Digital Data Café podcast, where we talk about everything data-driven in your world. Join us each week to hear from the world's top business and industry leaders on why using data in a digital world matters. Here's your host, Albert Thompson.
Hey everybody, thank you for another episode here, Digital Data Cafe. I'm really pumped and excited to introduce you. Today we have Chad Smeltzer. He's the CEO and founder of Bidcurement. I'm so excited about this actually, Chad, because you're going to really revolutionize the way bidding and government contracting is done. But before we do, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Albert, for having me on. It's great. And you and I connected a couple months ago, and we've been trying to put this together, and we're here. Let's do this.
Let's do it, man. I'm so excited. You know, we have been trying to, but we're super busy and you guys are growing like wildfire. I've been watching you guys and it's exciting. So
yeah, no, we've been trying to get the word out there, and, we're in the middle of raising capital to keep this thing going, and, just revolutionizing and digitizing government procurement is no easy task, as others may have been trying it. It's not easy. So we're ready to digitize it and disrupt the whole market.
Man, I'm telling you, from what I've seen, and we're going to dig into this because to the listeners out here who are listening, this is, I'm telling you, absolutely revolutionary. I'm so excited about what you guys are doing. And you know what? Why don't we just do that? Why don't we tell the world who's listening, what is Bidcurement and what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Well, thanks. Bidcurement is a digital competitive marketplace for government. Not only just government, but we have verticals where we can go into other private sector industries, real estate, pharmaceuticals. Someone was talking about that as well as another place we can get into. But our focus is on government because we figured that government is the most, I guess, antiquated process at this point.
Right. Makes sense.
They're still using the postal service.
Wow.
Literally, postal service. Benjamin Franklin started it, and we're still using it. Transit. And that's how this whole marketplace started. Is I was the project manager, and I'm sitting here, and I'm going through RFP documents, and I'm like, there's hundreds of pages of these RFP documents of talking about what needs to be done during this construction process or this infrastructure, right? So I'm going through the documents. I'm like, I don't have time to sit here and go through these. And there's thousands of them. Sometimes throughout a month, you can go through to try and find the solicitations that you want to bid on. Sure. But they make no sense half the time. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. So in 2020, I'm literally working for the company I was at. And because of COVID, everything was shut down and we're still trying to bid on projects. So we're driving back and forth to hand deliver in a vanilla envelope bid documents.
Really?
And just dropping in the city hall, like on the front doorstep, the documents. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way than this.
Right.
And that's how this all kind of started. It's just like, why are we sending documents back and forth, through the mail system? And not only that, I had gotten COVID from a contractor coming to my house.
Oh my goodness.
He was giving me a quote to do my floors, hardwood floors.
Right.
Finish them. And he gave me COVID.
He gave you COVID. He gave you a quote with COVID. Yeah. That's the way to work, right? Quote with COVID. Yeah. Gratis.
So not only that, I'm a project manager in construction. I had a guy come give me COVID from my house. I could have easily probably just took a video of my house, given some dimensions. He could have gave me an estimated quote. And that's all I was looking for. And that's really where Bidcurement has started, is in 2020 when this whole COVID pandemic started and there was no digitization of procurement system for government, as well as even just contractors in the, business to business world. And it just dawned on me. I was like, there's got to be a marketplace where we can vet contractors, digitize the whole RFP process, disrupt the whole government procurement system because it's very antiquated, no transparency, there's no accountability. Literally, you could be a contractor. Listen to this, Albert.
Right.
Great. You could be a contractor, go in the government, mess up a job, and then a couple months later, bid on another project there.
And have no repercussions.
Well, lowest bidder wins, man.
Wow. So this is fascinating because you mean to tell me today in 2020, the government does not have a digital way of procuring or bidding on jobs?
Not in 2020 and not in 2022.
And not in one streamlined marketplace.
Nothing. There's the bidding system, the e-bidding marketplace, or it's not even a marketplace, e-procurement systems that are out there are one-sided for the buyer. They don't help the contractor at all. And that's another thing that kind of bothered me as I was looking at all these other potential competitor marketplaces or procurement systems that are out there, they didn't have a benefit to the contractors and suppliers. It was like the buyer agencies are our customers, and we're posting our solicitations and of theirs, electronically with documents. And then hopefully the contractors and suppliers come to us, give us $2,000 some dollars subscription services, and we make money off that. We make money off their document downloads. So they're forcing you as a contractor to download free public access procurement documents. Really? That's how they're making their money. It's crazy.
Unbelievable. And you know what I like about what you're talking about is you're really creating a two-sided network effect, right? You're creating a system where it's going to be easier for the government official to locate a contractor, and you're going to make it better for the contractor to identify and bid on jobs and clean that RFP proposal. With that said, though, how did Chad get it? I mean, I understand how you identified the problem, and that's awesome, by the way, because innovation waits for the disruptor, and that's you. I'm excited to see what you're going to do here. But you know what? A lot of times you've got to know that industry in and out before you can even make sense of it all. So how did you make sense of this, and how did you get to this place where you understood the government landscape? Yeah,
I started in a couple years ago. I've had three. This is my third startup. My last startup, I'm in the sewer world. So I've been in the sewer infrastructure world for a long time. I've been in the sewer trenches, so to speak, the manholes, and the dirtiest part of sewer is just selling sewer services and products to help our public sector friends just solve problems in sewer systems. Sewer systems overflow all the time. There's literally 1.2 trillion gallons a year that contaminate our waterways throughout the United States right now. Really? And there's the EPA estimation is 40 to 72,000 overflows a year in this sewer world, right? And no one talks about, no one knows about because it's underground.
Nobody. I mean, listen, man, I got to tell you, this is the first time I've ever heard of this. You're telling me 1.2 gallons of sewer overflow a year?
1.2 trillion gallons.
Trillion gallons.
If you Google anything about sewer overflows, the news is always loaded. There was one just recently, a couple of weeks ago in LA on a beach, millions of gallons pouring all over the place, contaminated waterways. They shut down the beaches. It's a huge problem, and I can't believe that we don't have a solution for that yet either. But if you look at it, though, it's government, right? Nothing against government, but if you're a political figure, you're trying to show your constituents the surface parks, recreation facilities, things like that people see. You're not talking about the infrastructure falling apart.
No, of course not. Right. No.
Nobody talks about that. It's crazy, right?
Right.
So I started there, and I was like, all right, we got to figure out a way to triage these sewer systems better. And the company I was working for, they didn't really want to diversify from the current service they were providing. And I was like, okay, I found some acoustic technology to quickly send that sound through the sewer pipe, and it would triage it and give it a score using sounds.
Interesting.
And I was like, this is great technology, right? You can literally go through 20,000 feet in a day, which, just for comparison's sake, cameras is how they traditionally would look at sewer pipes.
Right.
They can only inspect about 1,800 feet a day.
Really?
So now you're taking acoustic technology, putting it in the sewer system, and you're checking 20,000 feet a day.
Oh my goodness.
So now we're streamlining that. So what I did was, with a founder of another company, her and I teamed up, and we got together and we created an asset management procurement system. Basically, we took data from all these robotic cameras that we were putting into the sewer pipes and the manholes, and then we create codes, and then we would create a capital project basically for repairs on all those codes that we would calculate and do a risk assessment on failure of those manholes or those pipes. And then we would give those to the engineering firms and say, hey, here's the places you need to start looking. We triaged it, and we went through 100,000 feet, for example, or a couple hundred manholes, and we found all these problems. Here's where to start fixing your sewers before they overflow, right? So that's the system we built, and that's what I was involved in my second startup, was building that. I did all the sales, she did all the services, and operationally built the business, and together we just created this new procurement method for asset management, really, of sewer systems.
Yeah.
So then we got acquired in January 2020.
Congrats, by the way. That's incredible. Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm so glad it worked out the way it did. We built it up quickly. We needed a lot of resources that we probably didn't have. We weren't ready for.
Sure.
And I've learned a lot from as a business owner or just a co-founder of like what it takes to really, when you start building a business, when you get to that millions of dollars of revenue.
That's right.
How do you scale it then?
How do you scale from there? That's right.
How do you scale it? Operationally, we couldn't keep up.
That's right.
We had the sales were there.
Right.
But operationally we had, and that's the big issue now is how are you going to, all this infrastructure money coming, how are they going to keep all these contractors with people doing all the work?
That's right.
So now you have all the sales, but you don't have the operations to keep up. So you really limit yourself. And we did a great job, but we were like, okay, we need a bigger company to get.
Well, on that note, and I think, sometimes it comes down to, and as a good founder, as a good leader, right? Sometimes we're going a little off topic here, but it's important to identify, when you're looking at that scaling opportunity, right? Your ability to kind of grow scale. It's going to take more financial investment, right? It's going to take more of that capital. And you either have a moment there, that inflection point, right? And I think you identified it, whereas like, hey, somebody with the proper, logistics, the proper operational, whatever the case is, the assets, financial or human capital, whatever it is, at that moment it was better for them to take it to the next level. And you identified that. So that's a win, man. Congrats. Yeah.
No, it was great. It was great. I wish I'd known more about business and scaling, but I do now. I went through the accelerator program recently, incubators, all that stuff. So
congrats, by the way. I saw that. That's with the New Chip Accelerator, right?
Yep. No, it's been great, man. I've learned so much. I didn't even know how my total addressable market. I was like, what's
your TAM? Right. What's your TAM? Right. Exactly.
Didn't know what that was. So anyway, learned a ton, figured out all that. Now we're just in this phase where the Bidcurement marketplace is so technology heavy to an extent. I can't go, because I'm looking at two problems. Okay. Government's already antiquated and we're working with a paper system and an e-procurement model. Me going to them telling me, hey, we're going to digitize and disrupt the whole market for your RFP process, right? Because it's no longer needed to read thousands of pages of bid specifications for construction projects. We have data of point cloud data, camera robotic data that's sitting there that can do all the AI, all the planning basically is all sitting there. We just need to see as a contractor what that project needs us to do. So I can look at a sewer manhole image and see all the defects. I know as a contractor how much it's going to take me to fix that. Do I need to line it? Do I need to grout it? Do I need to replace it? All those things if I see it versus trying to read, we got 200 manholes now, which ones are we going to fix? So I need to see those things to fix them.
Yeah. And I think that, you really talk about it in a passionate way. And I think that you've, expressed, how you've been able to solve some of these problems, and your background really speaks to the passion about revolutionizing, this government procurement process. What would you say are some of obviously we talked about some of the largest problems, but in your experience right now with what you think Bidcurement can help to solve, what are some of the biggest problems that you think your company is going to be able to identify and solve?
Matching up vendors, contractors, suppliers, manufacturers to government projects. Right now it's decentralized, it's siloed. You got thousands of government entities with their own procurement portal systems, or they're using an e-procurement system that's out there, which is great. They're starting to get into that e-procurement world, which is where we should have probably been 10 years ago. Sure, right. But now we're in the e-procurement. We're understanding, because of COVID, government entities are now like, all right, we need to speed this process up. Yep. Instead of a 30-day, 45-day procurement process, we need to get it down to like 15 days, 20 days, something like that. And which they are. Their trends are heading in that direction where they're moving that right way. It's just a matter of now you have to look at the technology that's out there. Right. If you only have a one-sided, one-dimensional platform that's only helping the buyers, which are the government entities, promote their solicitations, and then the contractors and suppliers are just trying to connect to them. If you don't have the right technology to match them up, you're really in a disadvantage as a business owner trying to find government projects. They use commodity codes. And so before we get into commodity codes and some of these, granularities, for some of the listeners out there that maybe aren't familiar with the government procurement process or even the competitive bidding process, just walk us through. So let's say I'm a contractor or I'm a painter and I want to do, a paint job, and I'm trying to do a job for the United States Postal Service. How would I go about finding the job? And then right now, let's say I'm the Postal Service and I need a painter. How are they going about putting out the jobs today in the market? Calling Google, trying to find, and then emailing. Most of the time, here's what happens. If I'm a painter, that's going the same concept. I'm looking to find paint jobs, and I want to work for government. Although most painters are like, we're not going to go into government because the red tape's a mess. That's another topic.
Right.
So you would go to like the Postal Service, let's say manager, right? And say, hey, my name's Chad Smeltzer. I have a painting business. I would love to paint your building because it's chipping away and falling apart.
Sure.
Now, that operations manager for that postal service or postal division or department or that location has to get funds allocated to do the painting.
Okay.
And if you don't have the funds, you can't do it. So there's a lot of pre-planning of the funds that need to happen in order for you to paint a building, for example, for government.
Okay.
So it's a 12-month process because they have to get it in their budget. They got to get council and everyone else to approve it. And then once it's approved, then they have to put it out to bid. And now the first guy that showed up probably isn't going to win the job because now it's going out to bid and it gets publicized in the classified newspaper ads in the local paper.
I'm sorry, what, the classified ads?
Yeah.
In a local newspaper?
Yeah. So if it's like a small little news agency in the city, a local newspaper, maybe only 100 people read it.
Right.
It's considered a bid, a certified procurement opportunity that was published out there that everyone could potentially see it, although only 100 people might see it.
Interesting. So from the government standpoint, all they have to do is literally just make it so that it's publicly out and available for bid, and they've checked the box.
Yep. You can post it on the front of your government building.
Huh.
And it's considered a legal procurement solicitation publication. Yep.
There's nothing for the actual contractors who really need to find these jobs.
There is bid scraping technology out there, the big aggregate services or software systems that scrape all these government websites and post them together.
Okay.
So you got to pay the subscription fees, then you got to filter through their software to try and find them. But that's how you get into government contract. You have to get there, you have to talk to them, you got to look for the procurement opportunities, and you got to stay on top of it because if you don't find the opportunity, or let's say you do find the opportunity, and there's a process called an addendum.
Okay.
So if they publish it and let's say you're the contractor and you have questions about it, you ask questions. You have to email the people, call in the government entity, you got to call them, you got to try and get a hold of them, tell them you have maybe an alternative material, an alternative paint, just stay on the same topic.
Sure.
So they have to approve it. If they don't approve it, then you're out. But if they approve it, then an addenda comes out and says, okay, this other company, not Chad Smeltzer, asks the question and says they have a better paint product and they want to include that in their bid. So now they have to post an addenda. And if the other company misses the addenda,
oh my goodness,
and you don't sign off on it, you're out. You're out. There's so many ways to get kicked out of it.
So you're saying you could have been the original contractor sticking with painting, and you went and got this whole process started. They did the post. Let's say they just posted in the classified just to get it out there. And then all of a sudden, hey, they realize, you know what, this additional room needs to get painted. So now there needs to be an addendum. Now the addendum needs to be reposted. And let's say that the original vendor misses that, they're out.
You're done. If you don't sign off on it and send it back. If you don't mail it back with your bid documents, you're out.
Huh. Yeah. That is fascinating. So then let me ask you this. So in what way will there be a positive change with using the Bidcurement system? So let's walk through that same exact kind of process. I think for some of the listeners here, now let's take it through that Bidcurement process and how in that same exact ecosystem environment, how you're going to solve these problems. What would that same scenario look like?
Yeah, no, we have a matching algorithm that when you set up a profile as an organization on Bidcurement, we set up your different profiles, which have an algorithm that's assigned to your profile, and we will match you up to the procurement solicitations that are posted by the government entities. And how that does is a notification system. So you're in one network, you're in one open marketplace. So let's say if there's 100 to thousands of buyers, which are the government entities, using one centralized marketplace, they can all post their solicitations where all the contractors and suppliers and manufacturers are all in one place versus what's happening now. They all have the siloed procurement system.
It's all very siloed, and it's all at the very end of that ecosystem, but you're finally putting it into an open marketplace for both sides.
Yeah, both sides. They all get in one place. Now, you have a lead generation to other businesses that might want to, submit a bid for other solicitations that they never even knew about. And you're basically taking everyone's siloed systems and put them together so it's all one big network. And even the government entities can cooperate and do what's called a cooperative procurement. So basically they all get together and say one town wants to fix 50 manholes or paint 50 buildings, and the other city wants to do the same thing and they're across the street. Wouldn't that be beneficial for a contractor to bid on both those jobs?
Absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. And you're telling me today there's not a streamlined effort to keep those dots connected right now, huh?
There's no communication whatsoever between government entities to even know when they're posting. They all post individual bids. So you might get one 50 manhole project for repairs in one city. The next city has the same one. They post it together. Or at different times, but if they posted it together, it'd make more sense. Yeah, and get better pricing.
And better pricing, and then to be able to keep that communication, and there's the potential, and I don't know your roadmap or anything like that, but there's also potentially of maybe notifying other municipalities or cities of these potential jobs to see if maybe they want to, maybe that's on their roadmap, but maybe it needs to be accelerated, right?
Now you're talking. Now we're looking at a marketplace where now you're also cooperative together. Everyone's working together on procurement opportunities. You're advertising. Your business is advertising their services, their products on the platform. There's an accountability system that's built in. It's proprietary that we're holding them accountable. So if they go to one government entity, do a terrible job, they're going to have an accountability system in place so they can't just jump to another city and ruin their infrastructure. And it increases and that's a good point, it increases the workmanship too, because if you know you're held accountable, you're not going to go and do a crappy job at a government, procurement opportunity. You're just going to go there, fix it, know they're going to be held accountable and do it the right way.
Absolutely. And question for you. And again, not going into the system because I haven't quite been all the way through. Now, from what I've seen, will there be some accountability within Bidcurement? So say there's maybe a rating system or some way of these government agencies being able to identify, how this, vendor performs, or is there a way that there could be any of that type of setup in the system?
Yeah. If you look at the FAR Act of 1984, I believe it's the FAR Act was posted. It's to keep taxpayer funds from being used in, basically wasted or collusion and things like that, to where the FAR Act put a requirement where it's got to be fair, it's got to be transparent, it's got to be competitive, and it's got to have integrity. And that's what Bidcurement's mission and vision is to make it a one-stop shop to where it has a lot of integrity. And the reference rating system is a way to do that, because we want responsible bidders on a platform, qualified bidders, not just random, contract suppliers who really maybe are doing a bad job out there and they shouldn't be getting those government contracts, and they're lowballing other good contractors and getting, basically just giving the market, so to speak. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, they take advantage of the market, they low bid a job, and then the other contractors get booted out. And I wouldn't want to keep bidding on government contracts if I keep losing. It's 17% of contractors win their bids. Out of 1,500, they only win 17% of those contracts a year.
Really?
One contractor spends $1.5 million a year chasing down government procurement opportunities.
So that right then and there, just those numbers alone are a reason why this market and this process needs to be improved. $1.5 million. Think about the average contractor or the average company that needs to try to get into these jobs. They're not going to have those types of resources to bid. And then, based on some of the experiences that I've had with some folks that have some contracting companies that have worked within the government, listen, it's who you know, right?
It is. Yeah.
And I think that collusion is what you're talking about. And there's a lot of that going on. And I'm not trying to say we're not trying to put any blame or shame or anything like that towards the government, but these are things that need to be solved, right?
Yeah, and I know government agrees, because I've worked with a lot of superintendents, public works directors, and one thing that they need is a resource where they can get access to get multiple bids and to show that they actually got multiple bids without phone calls. Phone calls are a way to get around the procurement system real fast. So you're talking to your buddy. Well, why don't you have a place where now you can show that you reached out to a certain amount of contractors in a geographical area, and you're promoting your solicitation to them trying to get them to bid. Now you can take that paper to the council and say, hey, I reached out to all these contractors in the 50-mile radius of town and only got one bid. And it's this company, which is a qualified company based on the reference rating system that's built in the Bidcurement. And now you can go to council and it's already vetted, and now you can approve it right away and get it done.
Absolutely. And will the system then be able to also allow for some of those addendums and things like that to communicate back and forth from an easier, streamlined process?
You got it. Yeah, everything's integrated into what we call a project box and contained in one place where all the communication, the addendums, the notifications are all in one place. And it just streamlines the whole awarding process that government needs.
Oh, this is, Chad, listen, I've been unabashedly, I'm telling you here, I think this is incredible. I think your ambition and the problem that you're trying to solve, man, is massive. But in doing so, I think you truly will revolutionize that government procurement process. So what are some of the small steps that we could take, right now, just overall to help bring awareness and improve the current process?
Yeah, doing what we're doing right now. We're talking about it. That's the thing. We got to talk about it. We got to get outreach. We got to get brand awareness, whether it's not even procurement, but we just got to get you into electronic procurement. We're going digital. We're next level. So, we can facilitate the whole e-procurement process too, as well as, I hate to say it, but I built Bidcurement so it can actually meet the paper process too, just so government can get comfortable with the whole digitizing procurement system, because we just don't want to throw them into a technology world where it's like, hey, here you go. Now you're all digitizing your whole procurement process, and it scares them, right. and technology can scare people if they're not used to it. It's one of those places where you can create that uncomfortability with a lot of government entities, and if they're not comfortable with everything. So anyway, point is, Bidcurement can facilitate e-procurement. It can facilitate the paper process still. We do remote videos back and forth so that you're not having to go to governments for Kickstart meetings and stuff like that. We have everything built into it right now. We are just looking, obviously, to advance our technology and get into that digitizing world where we disrupt the whole RFP process now. Well, that's what Bidcurment's going to get into.
No, absolutely. So, on that note, I think this is an excellent opportunity to kind of segue to. So where is Bidcurement right now? What are the next steps that Bidcurement can take to solve these problems? And how could, one person, or if I'm a contractor, or if I'm a government official, are we ready to get into the Bidcurement system today? Or are we raising funds? Where's Bidcurement today?
Yeah, right now we are in post MVP. We're seed stage. We have 12 government entities and engineering firms that are ready to pilot test our products. However, we still need to raise funds so that we can get into that digital world of taking visual technologies and integrating into our system. Because right now you can upload a video file and everything, but we want to get more in depth in that and deeper into like point cloud data systems where we can really streamline the procurement process that way. A little bit more advanced, but that's a couple of years as we keep building on. That's where we need the funds to keep growing the procurement model and get those 12 users using our platform and growing.
Well, that's great. And the reality is, Chad, a lot of our listeners, are investors or have access to some venture funds or private equity. If you had to kind of put it out there, what exactly are you looking for? Is this a seed round, or is this a Series A? What exactly are you looking to do? And is there already a process set up?
Yeah, we're pre-revenue, so we are in the seed stage. I'm the owner myself, invested personal funds to get this thing going and then prove out the concept. Product market fits there. We have users that are ready to use the system, and things are going really well. It's just a matter of keeping that momentum going, keeping that traction going, and launching. But we really just want a partner. We're looking for a partner that sees the vision, knows how antiquated government procurement is right now, and wants to grow with us. That's what we're looking for.
Well, that's excellent. So if someone out here is listening and they're interested, what was the best way to get a hold of you, or how would someone want to get in contact with Bidcurement?
Sure. My name's obviously Chad Smeltzer. I'm CEO and founder of Bidcurement. My email is chad@bidcurement.com. I don't know if I should post my number on here, but
I think your email and your website should be fine. Bidcurement.com. Okay. And then it's Chad@bidcurement.com.
Yep. You got it, man. Yep.
Well, Chad, I'm telling you, I am excited for you. I've seen the videos. I've seen the early MVPs. You are absolutely going to revolutionize this space, and super pumped and excited. And thank you for coming onto the show today.
Oh, thank you. We didn't get to one thing. We didn't get to my first beta testing with the trucks in one of the cities. Yeah. So I know you're into the cars, so I really want to jump on this real quick. So our first user on the platform gives me a procurement opportunity to buy two F-250 Ford trucks. This is back in September 2021, and one 2021 Ford Ranger.
Okay.
This is in that whole time period when supply and demand for trucks there was no supply, right? For Ford F-250s, and they want a specific type, right? It had to be white. It had to have these certain things in there.
Yes.
So we posted the procurement opportunity, and I was running around scrambling to the dealerships trying to find these trucks for these guys because I knew that there was nowhere to find them, and they still couldn't find them. But that was our first use case, was for trucks. Competitive bidding for trucks.
Really?
I think we can get into like back in verticals. There we go. Car dealership.
I'm going to tell you right now. Listen, I'm so glad you brought that up. We are going to talk offline because we are in the process of revolutionizing a very similar trade acquisition model. I won't get into details now because it's in the process. But listen, let's talk because potentially Bidcurement could feed back into that system. So that is very exciting.
Awesome. No, I'm excited to connect, man. This has been great. I appreciate your time, man. It's awesome.
No, this is great. You're going to do great things. And thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you, man. Have a great day.
You too.
Talk to you later.